Welcome back, listeners. This is Matan here again, and let me just explain what's happening. If you haven't listened to part one, this is part two of our big Sanderson podcast. It's a little less discussion and a little more, how do I call it? Fantasy football, if we can say that. Basically, Ally has created this incredible tournament. I don't want to spoil it. But speaking of spoilers, this part has a lot of them. So if you haven't read Cosmere books and you'd like to, just be advised that we spoil quite a bit. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome to Prose and Cons, a podcast by writers for writers. Brought to you by Precipice Fiction. Precipice Fiction would like to acknowledge the people of the Aora and Durrag nations as the original custodians and storytellers of the land that this podcast was created on.
Well, welcome back to the SCG. For those who aren't either Australian, British, Indian, Pakistani, or Sri Lankan, that was a cricket joke. For listeners, this will be happening immediately in the same episode, but we've been a week and a half removed from our Branderson episode because we had so much to say. We went over time. So we are now back and we're ready to present the game. So these two have no idea what I've prepared, but I'm quite excited.
No clue.
All right. Can the two of you see what's in front of you?
In general, or oh, there it is. Oh
Describe
my
the book.
god!
Yes.
We're doing Tankaichi Budokai just with the Cosmere characters.
Welcome to the Cosmere Cup.
So cool.
All right. And the rules of the Cosmere Cup. This is how it's going to function for round one. So Matan is primarily going to be playing round one, and then I'm going to invite James in to play round two. So round one, I'm going to reveal two characters behind these curtains. The curtains will be drawn back.
Right.
And Matan, your job is to initially describe the two characters you see. So both to James and to our listeners, you're going to give a little bit of a, wrap up of who this character is, describe them, and their abilities, their fighting abilities and their powers. And then...
Okay.
So
dear listeners, this is going to be fun because while I have read about 7.5 Cosmere books, I have not read any of them in the last 2 years. But don't worry, I have the wiki in front of me. My memory will be jogged, and this will undoubtedly result in some funny, if not exactly accurate descriptions. But let's go.
So it's going to be a good game because it's going to give listeners a lot of insight into the type of characters Branderson writes. I think we're going to do a lot of detail sharing, and then also you have to tell James why you think they're winning each round. You essentially have to justify why they've won this bout.
I could fail.
Sorry?
I could fail to convince James?
Well, the reason it's really important, because then in round two in this bracket, I'm going to hand it over to James, and only the knowledge you've managed to communicate to him in round one will he be able to make his decisions on who wins the fight in round two. So,
to the Cosmere. All right.
All right. Without further ado, let's look at round one. Tell us about these characters and their powers.
All right, first off, we got Shallan, who many would call the MVP of Book 2 in the Stormlight Archives. The thing you need to know about Shallan is that she appears to be really, really sweet and nice, but she's got some secrets. I don't want to spoil it for the readers, but she's capable of doing the dirty work when it's time to do it. Her powers, well, she is a shard bearer in a sense, but not. So what are shards? Okay, shards are these super armor, super swords. It's swords that cut through everything and they suck out your soul. Okay, so you get cut, you're gone. You're worse than gone.
They're one-hit kill swords. Yeah.
There's soul killers, and the shard plates are basically medieval mech armors. They're not really mech because they're kind of normal sized. Anyway, why is Shallan so tough is because she's actually got a real shard blade. She didn't steal it. I don't want to go into the mythology of it too much. He's got a spren. He's kind of cute. She can stab. All right. And she's not really a sword fighter. So imagine a monkey with an RPG. It does have an RPG, Can it aim? I don't know.
She's got
Can it
the
hit you?
basics down. She has been trained by Adolin. So, like, she's
Okay,
got
which book?
basic
Which book has
sword
she been?
stances.
Right.
But yes. And she's
Well, yeah,
also got
but
healing. I feel like that's important for you to mention.
she's got healing. She can heal. Okay, is this a book 4 thing or book 3 thing? Yeah.
It's a Stormlight
Um.
thing. All right, tell
Next
us
we have
about Wayne.
Wayne is a twinborn. I haven't read all of the series, but does he have a gun? I can't remember. He's a blood maker. He can store health in gold for the price of being unwell. Sounds like a very bad way to
So he
loan
can
things.
also, he's got healing as well. We've got two like Wolverines on our hands here that they heal real quick.
James, give it to
Can I
Shallan.
ask, is healing going to help at all against these
No, your
soul-stealing
soul is
swords?
being sucked out. Healing's
Yeah,
not gonna
okay.
do anything for you, okay?
Okay.
Give it to Shallan, and if she fights in the next one someone who also has a shard blade but actually knows how to swing it, give it to that person.
All right, here we go. I'm just going to add it to my little circle. Shalon has defeated Wayne in round 1. Perfect.
Yeah, Wayne and Wax readers, I apologize if I killed.
All right, Matan, tell us about Harathan.
I'll tell you first about Navani, because I remember her a bit better.
While I Google Harathan.
Okay, so look, Navani. Oh crap, the spoilers I'm getting. Okay, so in the world of Roshar, it begins with the death of this king, all right? Like the first scene is this badass assassin, just kind of, he's got gravity powers. He comes in and he fights this king. It's like the final fight of a Final Fantasy game. Anyway, so this king has a son. His son is like a nice guy. Anyway, ignore the son for a second. We'll probably see him. The son has a mom, all right? The son's mom is
Sun
called,
came from somewhere.
yeah, the son's mom is called Navani. She's kind of cool. Does she seriously have any abilities? She can make stuff. She's like a scientist.
You're
Does
really up to Stormlight 3, aren't you, Matan?
yeah. Does she get a sprinter
Okay.
or something?
Yeah, I don't want to give you spoilers. Okay, at some point Navani does have powers. But also if you want to focus more on the fact that she is this world's Tony Stark is probably the more important
But
thing to
does she
focus
have
on.
the Iron Man suit of that world?
No, no Iron Man suit for Navani, but she's the world's inventor. If there's a problem, she will build something that fixes it. If we're going to give Navani a core skill set.
Supreme Judge, may I request a modification?
Sure.
Could we limit their powers to whatever they are at the beginning of Oathbringer?
The
Or
Oathbringer level? Okay. So, because I
yeah?
was going to set it at Rhythm of War, but if we're going to rewind from you can only speak to Oathbringer. We're capping it at Oathbringer powers.
Yeah. So
Copy
in that
that.
terms, James, Shallan doesn't really have a chance against anyone who knows what they're doing with their weapon, unless they. Anyway, Harathan. How do you say that name? It's from Elantris. Elantris has
From
a cool.
Elantris.
Yeah. First book written by Sanderson. All right, if that affects your judgment, and I do suppose he wins, not because I know much about him, but because Navani is the wife of a dead king, and that's basically how I can describe her to you. A very intelligent wife of a dead king, but in a
Yeah,
duel,
from the picture, I'm getting tactician vibes.
it's like Einstein versus a normal low-grade boxer. Einstein is
But
obviously more important and impressive, but even like,
yeah,
a low-level
does
boxer
Harathan
winning the fight.
does Harathan have some kind of robotic arm? From what I
So
can
he's
see,
got bone powers, is what you can see there. He has one
Oh,
arm
got it. So
that
yeah,
he
like
can imbue
Kimimaru
with
kind of style?
strength and speed, and he can harden it with bone power. Like, yeah, it's bone magic.
and is the bout that we're talking about? Have they just bumped into each other in the corridors of the castle and they're throwing down,
What
or
are
is
the
it more of
settings,
a
basically?
they're aware of each other and they're moving chess pieces against each other kind of thing?
Does Navani have prep time?
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh.
Does she get
Maybe
to pick
nothing
the
more
time
than
and the
like a
place?
bandolier of little gadgets. But even then, all Navani's gadgets can really do is maybe toss him around. They're all very
Okay.
kinetic energy based gadgets, Navani
Yeah,
will.
give it to
It's
Shallan
sounding
in the
like
next
brute
one.
force is going to have a big advantage in this
All right, we're
particular
gonna give
bout.
it to
Then
Harathan. Okay.
Give it to Shallan in the next round. Yeah, okay.
All right, Yasna and Zeth at
Oh, that's a good
Oathbringer
one.
power
Okay.
levels.
Okay, so look, Yasna is basically like the mentor figure of Shallan, but beyond, we're not even going to go into what happens with her in book 4 and 5 because I understood from Ali that a lot of stuff happens, but she's really cool even at the beginning. Like she's got magical powers. Oh, what was it?
She
She
does have a
fries a
spren.
bunch of she fries a bunch of robbers into nothing
She's
when they
got
try to mess with her.
soulcaster abilities, so she can
Soulcaster, right?
turn people into different elements. So yeah, there's a scene where it establishes her powers, where there's like a bunch of robbers corner them, and she just turns them all to ice, like
Which is
literally
very
ice.
bad for your health. It's really not.
Yeah, I
You
can
don't want
imagine
to
all
be
the
turning.
the
But
knock-on health
it's
implications.
She also has the same soul-sucking sword Shallan has.
Oof, okay.
but the other guy is basically Son Goku with a sword.
Zeth is Zeth.
Okay, he's got a shard blade, right?
So
He's got a shard
they're
blade.
equally matched. They've both got soul-sucking swords.
But
Mhm.
Zed also has what is it called? He can turn the gravity. He's not a windbreaker. What's the name of his category? Wind runner?
Skybreakers.
Skybreaker. You don't want to fight a skybreaker, James. Come on. Uh,
Zeth
I'm seeing
has
someone
he's
falling
essentially
into the sky, which seems like
he can
a bad
fly and he has
he
the
can
time.
flip
reputation of being a
gravity.
prodigy of his generation as a sword fighter. Yeah.
Look, again, Yasna is really cool. I don't know what happens in book 4, but book 1, 2, and 3, Yasna against Zed, like he can just flip gravity. She'll fall down. It's not gonna be an easy fight. She's really cool, but I'm giving it to Zed.
But at the
Yeah, I
end of the
think
day, Zeth is Zeth. I think Yasna just drew unlucky lot against Zeth. She otherwise probably would have done real well. But
She would have beat anyone up to this point, I think, except the guy that she's matched up with.
all right, speaking of
mm,
unlucky draws, this was all by random chance. This
Oh
is who
no, this was
populated
done
in the next
seeds.
round.
What? This is atrocious. That's like having Optimus Prime fight Bumblebee? I don't know. Who's Bumblebee? Okay.
It's Federer and Nadal being seated in round one. It's just not fair, and it's bad organization on the tennis official.
Okay. In narrative terms, it's like a young Gandalf against Aragorn in terms of how I see them in the narrative. That if for any reason, if you want to read Stormlight Archives, listen to the audiobook just to hear the voice of Dalinar. It's just that good. Dalinar is the brother of the deceased king, and he becomes basically the de facto leader of the good guys. It doesn't happen easily. He has a lot of opponents from within, opponents that are kind of discarded early in book 3, I think, in an not in a very nice manner. Anyway, Dalinar, he has a shard blade. He gives it up at the end of book 1. But in book 3, he bonds with freaking gods? like okay, so they can bond with things, and his partner is God. Imagine that they had Digimon and his Digimon was God. Okay, it sounds weirder when you're trying to explain to people. Kaladin has plot armor. Okay, he starts with no power. He gets a really cool spren. Spren are like these spirits that give them power. He can fly. He has a
He's got the
soul
same
sucking
flying
sword.
powers as Zeth.
Ooh, I mean,
I would struggle with this one because on one hand you're like the Blackthorn, but then you're like, but Kaladin's Stormblessed. The Blackthorn
look,
is
I'll be
known for his massacres upon massacres and being an unstoppable killing machine, while
I'm
Kaladin
gonna.
probably has the scrappy underdog narrative. These are two characters who have never lost a fight, so it's very hard to picture them against each other and one of them having to lose.
I'm gonna cheat and say that in their battle,
who they would both challenge each other. So who do you think would adapt best to being challenged?
Dalinar is more
If
intelligent.
they're both
I find.
undefeated, who's more adaptable?
I feel like Dalinar will just, as they're fighting, would figure out the way to win
Hmm,
this. But
okay.
I also think if we really look at their character's
But
personality, at
Kaladin's
some
the
point,
younger,
Dalinar
more...
is spreading his arms, letting the blade go into his chest, and saying like, "Lead my people." I don't.
Dalinar would self-sacrifice, you're right.
Dalinar would not kill Kaladin. So I think it's kind of a bullshit ass reason, but I think Kaladin's coming out of this one.
The younger leader takes the win over Dalinar.
Oh, Ali, this was really randomized.
It was.
Kaladin and Zet in round 2. Okay,
I know.
James. Kaladin beats Zet in book 2, okay?
Okay.
We're just screaming that at James so he knows.
That's you.
All right. Vin versus Sazed,
wait,
and I'm good.
Before he becomes Jesus or after?
I was going to say book 1 Sazed, not book 3 Sazed.
And end of book 1 Vin?
Yes. Book 1 Vin, book 1 Sazed.
James, Vin is the protagonist of the Mistborn, The Final Empire. Have you read that one, or you haven't?
No, I haven't read Brandon Sanderson.
She starts knowing nothing, and then she realizes she's a Mistborn. Mistborn are people that can control metals. They can shoot them. They can use it to propel themselves, kind of like Spider-Man in a sense, because they magnetize themselves or something. If I remember, she's like the Avatar. She has all the abilities related to metal control.
The metal Avatar.
She's got plot armor through her neck. She's trained by maybe the coolest Mistborn in the series, even though he doesn't live that long in the first 3 books, in the first 1 book. The other guy does become like God at some point, but book 1, I'm giving it to Vin.
Book 1 to Vin. Even though he is a ferrochemist in his own right, that's worth saying. Sazed's not without powers. You're kind of putting a full-on ferrochemist against a full-on Mistborn, and are you saying the Mistborn wins, Matan?
Did he win any fight in book 1?
To be fair, he doesn't like fighting, but he can if pushed.
Vin has real bloodthirst in certain moments in the series. Like, she goes full berserk, like, I'm a Mistborn, you guys are chumps, I'm gonna kill you all.
All right, bloodthirst wins. We've got Adolin versus Lift.
Lift? Who's Lift? Remind me?
The edge dancer girl.
Can't remember her. Words of Radiance?
Remember the girl who likes eating things, skates around on Stormlight?
Okay, screw skating. Adolin's got the armor. He's got the blade. He's a soldier.
He's a radiant. Adolin is not. You still reckon Adolin's got it?
Does he lose anything by book 3? No, he's still
He's a pretty good boy.
Adolin is the son of Dalinar, and he's the betrothed. As of book 3, he's engaged to Shallan. He's like a golden retriever with a huge sword. Does that make sense? Does he have
a soul-sucking sword? He just doesn't have the healing abilities of the others who have these swords.
Right, because he doesn't actually have the power. So the thing about this world is that you can have the power come from inside you through the Digimon, through the Spren, and then it can also heal you and it can energize you. But also you can wear the corpse of the Digimon on you and imitate the power. So,
which is what Adolin does.
Adolin just wears the corpse of magical things and swings it. James, I'm so sorry. Adolin wins. All right. Good luck.
All right. I think you've done Lift a disservice, but okay, we'll give it to Adolin. Adolin has more battle training than Lift does. Lift is like super talented, but no training. Adolin's the opposite. No magic powers, but trained to like all hell, like as well trained as you can be in this universe.
Right. Sorry.
All right. Vivina, and I can give you all the way up to Oathbringer Vivina, and Waxilium.
Ali, take over for Waxilium for me, because this name rings nothing for me.
He's the lead character in Mistborn Era 2. He's our gun shooter twinborn. So essentially he has the metal power where he can push metal objects, but he's being a master gunman, marksman as well. Essentially he can shoot his bullet and then he can push his bullet and tell it to travel and kill anyone at any distance. He's just an insane marksman. he can also do a little bit of, rather than calling it flying, we'll call it very good jumping because it's not quite flying, but he can jump a lot from metal object to metal object. So he's very mobile in the air. He's a master
Imagine like
marksman. That's
a,
Waxillium.
ma- a magical Clint Eastwood without the political stuff. Um, if you read Harry Potter, James,
Yes.
there was a character named Tonks that could change like her facial attributes, like her hair or her face too, I believe. That's what Viviana can do. She can change her hair color, she can change her appearance. Um, I don't recall any battles. I think, do you recall, Ali, please?
So she goes by Vivina in Warbreaker, is where she's first introduced.
Okay.
She appears in the Stormlight universe as Azure. She has a different name. And as Azure, so she's been trained, she has natural healing abilities. Enhanced strength comes from her dormant abilities. But essentially, as Azure, she's a general. She's a female general in a society that has never heard of a female general before. Like they literally all pretend she's male because they're like, we can't if we
It's like
acknowledge that
Mulan,
she's
basically.
female, our brains will
Mm.
explode. We just have to pretend she's a dude so we can take orders from her. But she's clearly the most capable general around. Master swordsman, but doesn't have a soul-sucking sword. Just a normal good swordswoman. It's Vivina.
A blooding sword. Um, Look, I'm gonna give it to Waxillium.
Ooh,
Uh,
Waxillium. Fair enough. He's got scrappy plot.
Okay, we're getting to the end of
Final
this
of
round.
round one. This is also completely random. Marsh versus Kelsier. And I'm gonna say obviously it's book one Kelsier, but post Operation Marsh.
Mm. Okay, it's kind of Marsh is not the brother, is he?
He is the brother.
Oh God, why would you do that to them?
Brother
Okay,
versus brother.
Kelsier, I think is really cool because he's really our first introduction into, especially if you start your Cosmere journey by reading Mistborn. Kelsier is the first badass you encounter, and he's like the first employer in a real sense of the magical system in its full glory. Because Kelsier is something called a Mistborn, which means he can control all the metal powers. There's about seven or eight, I think seven normal ones. And Kelsier is again kind of like the Avatar. He can shoot metal, he can draw metal, he can jump really high. He's got
Finn's
all of it. He's got the
mentor.
healing. He's got
Yeah.
the powered. He can. Kelsier also acts as the mentor to Vin. And he's like, in a sense, he's what a fully fledged Mistborn should look like. And that's really cool as a reader because you see Vin, who is clearly far from in control of her powers, and then it's like you have a level 5 character and a level 100 character, and you get to see them interact and train each other, so it's really cool. And Kelsier, can we spoil things? We're spoiling, yeah, we're spoiling the hell out of things here.
We'll have to put
Kelsier,
a warning before our game that we're going to go hard in on Cosmere spoilers.
there's no way to do this game without spoilers. We're talking about book 3 and 4. Kelsier dies in book 1 fighting again God. By the way, every time I say God, it's a different God. There's a bunch of gods here.
Many
He
gods.
dies fighting a god, uh, a bad god, not a good god, as opposed to whoever Vin fights. Anyway, he's really cool. He's really tough. Marsh is his brother, but after Marsh dies, he's kind of Frankensteined by the enemy into a different kind of ability than what Kelsier has. His ability is built on the fact that metal is kind of put inside him, right?
Yeah,
And
it's
he
like
becomes,
magical acupuncture happens
yeah,
against
and
his will.
he's basically he becomes, they're called inquisitors, right?
Yes.
So there are these inquisitors who are like imagine the most horrifying NPC in a Bloodborne game that you really don't want to see. That's the Inquisitor. They're like, oh, I always compare them to like the agents in the Matrix. You know, like you see them run. Okay, you see two Inquisitors, three Inquisitors, it's over. So in a sense, we can treat him like the Agent Smith because he's like a really tough Inquisitor to fight. Um, I don't know if Kelsey can beat him, Ally.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Like
Because they
Marsh
don't
is
really they don't
good.
occupy at the same time. Marsh becomes
Kelsey did die.
like the coolest thing Kelsier does is beat an Inquisitor right before he loses to God, right? To the
In book one.
yeah, it's like
I'm not
his
discussing
swan
Kelsey
song.
in post book one, but yes.
His swan song is that
He
he
does
defeats an
defeat a
Inquisitor.
Inquisitor.
Um,
He's crafty though, and he's
he is
sneaky. Like
crafty.
you used intelligence before when you were talking
Right.
Dalinar versus Kaladin. I
Strategy, experience.
Kelsey's craftiness would get Marsh
I think so. I think Kelsier will win. I
if
don't. It's
I'm
not an
pushed
easy.
for an opinion.
Also, there's the emotional damage of having to fight your brother. That's also not great.
Yeah,
But yeah,
who would take it better? I reckon,
the one that still has emotions, perhaps.
I don't know. Marsh is a cinnamon roll. Kelsey's a bit of
Oh,
a dick.
okay. We're giving it to Kelsier, and I gotta be honest with you. Kelsier's side of the bracket looks kind of soft. I
All
do
right.
think Kelsier's got a bit of a cakewalk to the finals, but that's up to you to decide.
So,
Maybe Vin.
James, it is now up to you to do the next round. You may
All
ask
right, okay.
questions for additional insight, but otherwise, you need to tell me, based solely on what you've learned, who wins out of Shalon versus Hrathen.
I think Matan did a great job at giving the necessary stats on all of the characters, but I have just been introduced to 16 new names, so
Yes.
it was like the opening two chapters of the Game of Thrones novel.
And we're saying things like they wear the Digimon skin for power.
Yes.
A monkey with an RPG. Don't forget that one. I'm not
Yes,
calling Shalon a monkey. She's lovely. Okay, I don't mean it that way.
in this bout, I think I'd give it to Shallan because I think Hrathen looks like a grappler, and I think he'll probably underestimate that. I think she'll slip the sword in. Yeah.
I agree with your instinct. Hrathen is also notoriously bad with women.
Okay.
So I feel like he would try and fight a woman and would be like, what? And that's all the opening Shalon would need.
Perfect.
All right. So this is an intense, like, in terms of like fandom speculation, who would win in a fight against Szeth and Kaladin? What a fight to ask you to adjudicate.
Did you say that they fought each other already in one of the books?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Kaladin won that? Am I correct?
Kaladin did canonically win their first fight against each other, yes.
Oh, so it wasn't to the death.
It wasn't to the death? Oh,
No.
I mean,
well,
magic system. I actually think Szeth did die, but he was brought back. It was a temporary death. But yes, he did die as a result of this battle with Kaladin. Yes.
Like a comic book
That's a
death.
strong psychological advantage.
Yeah. As previously killed
I
him.
killed you before I can do it again. Yeah.
But I have a feeling that's also a pretty good motivator. Szeth looks like he's got a lot of poise, and he looks like he trains pretty hard. So this is a tough one. Does Szeth have magic?
He
Yeah,
does.
gravity control.
They're almost pretty much identical in their powers. There's no difference in their powers. The only thing I can maybe to describe them, Szeth has like a military-like training background, like just from a very young age, he's been drilled in monasteries, single-minded. It's only recently he's started
James, Kaladin had to run through a hail of arrows every day for months. Like, imagine D-Day every day, every morning for several weeks. If that doesn't toughen you up, I think screw the monastery, with all due respect.
Yeah, they both sound pretty tough, but I'll tell you what else. When you lose against someone, that becomes the thing that you're particularly training. That becomes your next goal. Whereas if you haven't lost against anyone, you're kind of training for everything, if you know what I mean. You're just spreading around what you're doing. But if you've got one particular person in mind who topped you, that's specifically what you're training for. So I'm going to give the edge to Szeth for that. He got one goal in mind, whereas I imagine Kaladin.
I
Alan's not
respect
going
the
to take
choice.
expecting
Look,
that. So
canonically, that sits right with me. Just because of what I'm reading. I haven't finished Wind and Truth yet, but let's just say Kaladin across the books is losing his will to fight. Szeth did it for a little bit there, but it's actually Szeth's coming back for like a he's not done. He's not done with the fight where Kaladin might be. So
well.
yep, that feels right that Szeth might win that second bout. Yep. Very good. Szeth is into the quarterfinals, whatever we're on to. Finals.
Yeah.
All right, we have Vin versus Adolin Colin.
Adolin Colin he's like the most trained person, is that right?
Yes.
Heavy trainer.
So no magical powers. All he has is the soul-sucking sword and some really protective magical armor. While Vin has her array. She's the metal avatar. She's very bouncy and mobile, can shoot projectiles, and she's got a little bit of healing, doesn't she, Matan?
Well, she can
Trying to remember
use
if they have
pewter
healing.
to make herself physically stronger
They've got a
and
bit of
last
strength.
longer.
Yeah.
She
Maybe
would have
that's
more
it.
physical, superhuman abilities than Adolin would. He would have nothing.
In
He would be like a
terms-
normal knight
He's a little
with
bit more
amazing
enhanced.
equipment.
He's not.
Yeah. In terms of years of experience, Adolin's been doing this a while, is that right?
Yeah, Adolin's since a boy. Well,
Yeah, but Vin fought like 10,000 Hulks, in a sense.
Adolin led armies on the front lines. I feel
Vin
like
has great hair.
Adolin's got the better hair. Yes.
I'm feeling Adolin for this one. I'm leaning that way.
Ooh. He's got the experience. I'd give it to him on that.
I mean, the soul-sucking sword against anything that is not a soul-sucking sword.
He just needs one correct opening against Vin. Vin just needs to make one mistake, right? It's over.
Yeah. By the way, Adolin's armor is one of the few things that can withstand a cut from a soul-sucking sword.
Yes. So when we're talking about soul suckers versus soul suckers, which it looks like we're going to be in the very finals, having that armor's gonna suddenly come in handy. Right. And for our final one, we have Vivenna versus Kelsier.
And I suppose because Kelsier...
No, we have Wax. We have Waxilium.
Oh, sorry. I saw the wrong thing. We have Waxilium versus Kelsier. Yes, apologies.
Yes, okay.
Be a fun fight.
Kelsier is kind of he's like a big heavy in this world, is he?
I would say so.
Yeah, because he's an all-rounder, while Waxilium has just specialized in two very specific abilities, while Kelsier kind of has them all. He's got a few more tricks in his tool belt.
It's like Michael Jordan against Steph Curry. Does that ring a bell whatsoever? No?
I'm not a big basketball fan. That's lost on me. This is I don't know. I mean, does Kelsier have ranged attacks?
Absolutely.
He does. They've both got ranged attacks, yes.
Okay. And does Waxilian have an ability to shield against the ranged attacks?
They can both push, so they can both push projectiles towards each other, and they can both push projectiles away. They've kind of got fairly similar abilities. It's Kaladin versus Szeth all over again. They're operating in the same magic system.
This is a tough one.
Well, it's really a gun versus
a advice.
Look, I'll be honest with you. Wax kind of comes a lot later in the same world, and things have kind of evolved.
I feel like Kelsier had it harder than Wax. Wax did some heroic things, but Kelsier, he had to learn
in the trenches.
The trenches. He had to invent his own genre. And Waxilium just kind of got to learn. Kelsier is a legend in Waxilium's time. Quite literally. He's become a bit of a Christ figure by the time Waxilium's around because of all the intense stuff Kelsier did.
And he's not waning. He's not nearing the end of his career. Is Waxillian a new up and comer taking on the champ?
Oh, Wax is actually quite an old soul. I wouldn't describe him that way. He kind of has that burden of I do this because I must, but no real love for the fight. While Kelsier will punch you and kind of enjoy it.
Also, I don't think Wax would know how to fight Kelsier. I don't think he because Kelsier is kind of his wide variety of powers.
It's clicked for me. Really Waxillian would be scared. Kelsier wouldn't. Right. I think that.
I also find the love of the fight does add a big that's a big advantage. So yeah, I think I'd be leaning Kelsier.
All right, we've talked ourselves into big boy Kelsier. Oh my God, Adolin versus Kelsier. All right, not even ready. All right. Let's open up the field to both of you now. All voices needed to work out who's going into the finals.
I can tell you who's the champion already, but okay.
You've already decided in your mind.
Yeah.
All right. So for our listeners, we have Shallan versus Szeth.
It's like, imagine a nice, pleasant Cocker Spaniel against a traumatized Rottweiler. Okay, that's this battle, basically. They're both dogs. Okay, they're both dogs. They both have teeth. They can bite you. One of them has an immense amount of violent baggage, and the other's had a
one of them's an artist who sketches in her books. We love Shallan, but one of them grew up to be a warrior.
If I'm her manager, I'm like, Shallan, just resign as soon as the battle starts, bow politely, and back off.
Yeah.
All right. Shallan did valiantly. But I think, we've got to give this round to Szeth.
Like, we don't even want to watch it. I'll say it like this.
Literally, the first line, it's really famous, it's mimetic, of Stormlight Archive is Szeth, Sun Villano, wore white the day he was to kill a king. And it's just iconic. So Szeth is here representing. All right, I have no idea who's going to win this fight. You're going to have to argue for it. Adolin Kholin versus Kelsier.
Does Kelsier know what a Shardblade does?
Well,
I think because we're in the third round, he does. I think everyone's watching.
He's been watching. He's been watching.
He's been watching Adolin come up through the tournament.
He's like the fuck is that? Okay, stay away from the tip of that thing.
Yeah. By this stage, everyone kind of knows everyone else's tricks.
So I think it's worth saying that all the projectile stuff Kelsier could do has met its match in Adolin's armor. Thrown coins aren't going to do fucking shit against Shardblade.
No.
Okay. So this is going to end up close range, I guess.
Like Mountain versus I forgot his name. Martel.
The Viper. Well, we know how that went.
Yeah.
Exactly. I feel like Kelsier will run around in circles, do everything he can, but at the end of the day, like he just doesn't have the offensive power to.
Yeah, Kelsier will look impressive, but I don't think Adolin will have to do a whole lot now that I'm thinking about it. He's just kind of got to hold his ground, take a few hits.
And if he beat Vin, he knows what a Mistborn is by now.
He's just beaten Vin. He's more than ready for Kelsier.
He's beating Kelsier. But maybe Kelsier is pissed off because Vin was hurt. I don't know. Is that an element here?
He does have the power of rage. Yes. Ooh.
I'm gonna give it to
Kelsier might not got this.
He might mess with the floor, or I don't know. Where are they fighting? Is it like a tuning exam?
Yeah. He doesn't have that much terrain manipulation.
No, I think, Shardblade is not affected by Mistborn powers, as far as I understand.
Yeah.
So I think...
they can't even throw aluminium at them. This is amazing. I'm so proud of our boy Adolin for getting this far. He technically has no powers. He's just wearing the Digimon.
Just at the right time, at the right place to get access to all the cool stuff.
Yep. I'm so proud of him, because I don't think... All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at the final of the Cosmere Cup. And we have Szeth, Sun Villano versus the Prince Adolin Kholin.
I'm going to be quiet and let James use the knowledge he has accumulated to call this one.
No. Yeah, this feels like, unstoppable force meets an immovable object kind of thing. Because Adelyn's got the really good armor.
Yep, and they've got equivalent swords, so it's basically a sword fight.
Yeah,
they've got identical swords, basically. Yeah, but Adolin has the armor.
Interesting. And
Szeth has healing.
Oh yes, okay.
And Szeth can fly.
Yes, okay, that's pretty good. And they'd both be.
They both can suck your soul out. Yeah.
Well, no, because Szeth can't, because it doesn't work against Adelyn's armor. Is that right?
Oh no, it doesn't work.
He would need,
like, if it gives you extra life. If the sword hits the plate once or twice, it can destroy it, and then you walk around with like a shoulder pauldron missing or an arm piece missing, and then guess what? No more defenses. But
these kind of special swords are the only thing that can wear down the special armor. It'll take like 10 hits, but then you can expose an arm and then get in with the soul cutting sword. Yeah.
What are Zed's defenses? Just like does he have Stormlight?
He does. He's got Stormlight. So if he's but true, it's a shard blade. You're not healing. You're healing from like a broken leg, but Szeth doesn't want to get touched at all. So he would survive a grapple. He won't survive a touch, while Adolin will take several hits and then he doesn't want to get it worn down.
These guys are about the same in terms of their swordplay?
Yeah, I would say they've both been training from a similar age with a similar mentality. They're both lifelong military men.
Okay. Is this the first time Adolin has met somebody with one of these swords in this bout?
No, Adolin would be very experienced fighting people with shard blades. He does it for fun.
Oh no, I mean just in terms of in this bout. I'm wondering, has his armor been depleted?
Oh, that's a really good question. No,
that would be fair.
He's fought Lift, so no. So yes, technically Lift has a sword, but she doesn't use it well. So I doubt Lift probably got a hit.
But James, following your argument against Kaladin, Szeth is full. He's satisfied. He just
fought Kaladin. He's fucked.
Nothing else matters. He had his big, victory. It's like Vegeta just killed Goku. You think he gives a crap about Piccolo?
I'm thinking of it more from an energy level. I think Adolin has spent less energy defeating Vin than Szeth spent. Okay. He did go against Kelsier, but he's fought Kaladin and then had to fight Shalon. Shalon would have gone down with a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, but we're agreed that his armor is still intact going into this bout. I think the armor might give him the advantage.
He's still got armor.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah. Like Szeth's gonna have to. I know he can move around more and he can jump, but he's gonna have to hit him so many times. Whereas Kaladin just has to get him once. So I think, or not Kaladin, Adolin. Yeah. I think Adolin might have this.
Ooh.
But I think it'll be tight.
It'll be a good fight.
It'll be one to watch. Yeah.
What are your instincts saying, Matan? Would you think Adolin's got this?
I don't think so. I think Zed's powers are more 3-dimensional than Adolin. Adolin is basically swing, very, very talented, but Zed can flip gravity, Zed can fly around, Zed can throw things.
Zed is a scary motherfucker at the end of the day. Adolin,
it's like,
he's a nice guy who's very good at fighting, enjoys fighting. Szeth, like if we're leaning into the slightly more messed up psychology, Szeth has been around death and is very familiar with death and is very good at it.
If we're putting plot into it, if Szeth had a fight with Shallan and he hurt her, Adolin is going to kill him. That's
oh my god, he did just beat Shallan, didn't he? He's very motivated by just watching his wife be beaten.
Kaladin and Shallan, who are basically Ron and Hermione. So in that sense, like Adolin is walking in,
it's my favorite throuple. Oh my god, Adolin's two life partners are Shallan and Kaladin. They've just been defeated by Szeth. my God, Adelyn's got all the reason to fight in the world.
Adelyn's gonna win. He's gonna let him cut him once, grab his arm, and give him a headbutt and knock him out or something.
That is a satisfying plot. Look, the narrative's got us. We're all writers. We love to lean into the narrative.
Yeah.
I award the Cosmere Cup to Adelyn Colin.
That's an acceptable result, I would say.
Which is a bit of a shock. Acceptable because we know he's a capable boy. But like if he had at any point had come across Dalinar directly, if he had come across Kaladin directly, I don't think I would have given it to Adelyn.
We could have had a Kaladin Adeline final. I'm just saying. That would have been also yeah. Cool. No, good job, James.
I love that. Adelyn's one of my the current book is a bit of an Adelyn book, and I'm just like, it's about time. The cinnamon roll deserves
the golden retriever. Event.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for the game. I'll stop sharing. We'll add a link to our results of the Cosmere Cup. But if you have listened to the game and enjoyed all the spoilers, I hope you've learned a little bit about Branderson's characterization, his world building, his magic systems, and honestly the fact that he's just writing a massive shonen. It's full of action. Oh, yeah. It's incredibly vivid. The characters are characterful enough for us to come away and speculate and have fun with their motives and how they would feel. And I'm a fan of Sanderson. I think he's doing a lot of great work in modern fantasy. So if you're interested in, just having a good read, but looking for ideas and ways you can approach your own fantasy, especially if you are worried about getting stuck into the tropes and traps of being too Tolkien, Brandon Sanderson's your guy to go and look to for new ways to approach the genre. Do you have any final thoughts, Matan or James, from what you've learned, absorbed, as you've been mucking around in the mess that is Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere?
I really want to hear James. Like, James, you've been listening.
I'm really interested. Yeah, I mean, I want to see more writers do like big bouts with all of their characters.
Nice. That's fun. Yeah. Is really great. I think one of my final recommendations is that these books are, for the most part, extremely readable, and it's really easy to get into them. Sometimes people recommend like books you should read or you have to read or they're classics. These books are fun. These books are just genuine fun. That's why I recommend them.
That's a really good thing to say. I think a lot of people are intimidated by the fact that they're like, I need to read 30 books. Wait, how big are they? What do you mean they could kill 2 hours? But yes, no, they read fast, they read quick. And honestly, I consume most of them through audiobook anyway. And it's just always enjoyable to know that it's never going to run out. There's always going to be more Branderson because he writes so fast. The books are so long. It's always there. It's not going anywhere. So yeah, don't be intimidated. Dive into Brandon Sanderson today. Go back to the recommended reading order. And yeah, drop us a line of what you think. If you disagree or agree with how the Cosmere Cup went, we would love to hear your fan theories. Otherwise, check out...
Yeah, all complaints can be sent to jameshealy@gmail.com.
Yes, yeah, no. James, if we got anything wrong, take it up with James. If we got any facts wrong from the Cosmere, which maybe Matan and I did, as big of fans as we are, we perhaps have misspoke or misquoted or described something incorrectly. That's very, very likely. There are people who are even more mega fans than us. The Coppermind exists online. It's basically the Wikipedia for Brandon Sanderson. All his books. That's what Matan's been glancing at this whole time to remember who is who. Just a reminder to like and subscribe. That's not quite the right word. I've been watching too much YouTube. Like and rate our podcast on your favorite podcast listening app. If you like Prose Cons, otherwise check out the new Mythic. That is our anthology that can be purchased as an ebook, a physical book, or an audiobook. The audiobook's great. Check out the audiobook. And we're working on another one. So stay tuned and we'll see you all next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
You're listening to Prose and Cons, the Precipice Fiction podcast.